Hey everyone, and welcome to the fourth edition of the DFS preview for NASCAR. I'm AustYn, previewing the NASCAR week. Week 4, we're at the TicketGuardian 500 at ISM Raceway. I'll probably goof up and call it Phoenix International, like I have called it for years. But this week's going to be interesting. So the first 3 weeks of the year, we've been at tracks bigger than a mile and a half. Well, Phoenix is like a mile, kind of a triangular short track. It's basically flat, but it's got a little bit more banking with the new pavement that they did a few years back. Pretty high speeds for a short track. In my iRacing days, it was one of my favorite tracks to race, just because you get to cruise in the corners and just hit it really hard on exit. But it's a little different in NASCAR with the new aero package, but actually they're bringing the old aero package back. Well, semi-old. It's not going to have quite the same amount of horsepower, but it'll be close. So it'll be interesting to see what our DFS strategies are this week. Last week we did pretty good at Atlanta. Took away a little bit of money, so hopefully we'll do the same here at the ISM Raceway. This is going to be more of my natural feel, basically, this strategy. So what I'll be doing is essentially picking the fastest course cars that I think will do the best, not necessarily picking guys that I just think will be in the right spot at the right time. So let's just get started with that. Let me clear that right quick. Hopefully you didn't get a glance at that. Sorry about that. So I'm going to walk you through, that was my lineup, but I'm going to walk you through my picks here. So looking at the top tier guys, you got Kevin Harvick starting in 8th. Kevin Harvick is one of the best drivers at this track. In fact, I believe his average finish is somewhere like 8th or 9th. He typically does very well here. Kyle Busch just won the Xfinity race, is a very good driver at this track. Of course, all these guys are really good. Truex, I mean, he's not as traditionally or historically as good as some of these other guys, but what I'm doing, I'm looking at the top tier, and Harvick and Busch are just so astronomically priced at 12.8 and 12.2, and they're starting pretty high. Harvick is a very interesting pick. So if you're making a lineup, I say cash game, you got to go Harvick. Harvick's starting 8. He's probably going to do very well for you in this race. Kyle Busch probably will do just as good, but we'll see. But I'm not going with those guys in my lineup. I'm going to be playing a lot of single entry tournaments this week. I feel pretty confident. Didn't win in Atlanta, but I won at Daytona and I won at Phoenix. Wow, Vegas. We're at Phoenix this week. So what I'm going to do, and I pick, seems like every week, Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson's starting 31st. He was pretty quick in practice, honestly. There was one practice that he was towards the bottom, and his averages are not that great. It wasn't that great in that practice, but regardless of that, he's starting 31st, and he can win this race. And in the past couple years, he's ran there. He's led a lot of laps, just about like at any track. But out on the West Coast swing here, I like Kyle Larson a lot, 31st. I mean, that could be your winning pick if he does well. I understand Harvick and Busch and Keselowski will probably do great. Harvick and Busch especially. But Kyle Larson's just too good to pass up. The reason, now say if Kyle Larson's starting like 6th, 7th, probably wouldn't go that route, and I probably would pick Harvick. But he's starting 31st. I find it hard to believe that he won't get a top 15. So as I'm looking through this, one guy that I really liked coming in this week was Kurt Busch. His team is just in a rhythm. He finished really well at Vegas with some pit strategy. Look for him to do well here at this race. Eric Jones is also another guy that's he's like a 10th or 11th average place finish. Now, it's only in like 5 or 6 races here, but he's did pretty well here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pick Kurt Busch here. 16th place, that's amazing. And Kurt was top 10 in just about every practice, and he's showing a lot of speed. And one thing that I looked at is 10-lap averages, and of course I've said this in the past videos, but that's something very important to me. If I can see a guy that doesn't have a lot of fall off, I'm going to go with him. These short tracks are very important for things like that fall off. So, going to go with Kurt Busch. Another guy that I'm very interested in, and I'm going to scroll down here because I'm going to go towards the bottom. So, looking at your bottom two here, Bailey Curry. I don't know that he's ever ran a Cup race. Let me click it and see if there's something here. There's nothing there, but Quinn Hoff, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, Cody Ware, Landon Castle. Corey LaJoie actually showed a little speed, but starting 24th, and he's got a pretty well finished higher than that, and that's hard to say. Matt Tifft is pretty interesting to me. I think if you go with Kevin Harvick, I think you got to have a guy like Matt Tifft. Matt Tifft wasn't showing that much speed, but his lap averages were actually pretty good. Other than that, Michael McDowell getting in a fight with Daniel Suarez. How about that? That was pretty interesting. And David Reagan. I'm not going to go any of those guys. There's a couple here that I'm very interested in, and that is Matt DiBenedetto. Matt DiBenedetto in the first practice, their speeds were a lot faster than the other two practices, and actually more than, not sure if it was more than qualifying. I should have looked at that, but Matt DiBenedetto is very interesting. He's in Joe Gibbs engines. Levine Family Racing uses their engine program. I really like DiBenedetto here for some reason. I have a gut feeling that he could yank out a top 15. So I'm going to slide in Matt DiBenedetto just to save a little bit of money. And I'm hoping that the public is not heavily on him. I know the public will be heavily on Kyle Larson. Kurt Busch, I'm not sure about, but Matt DiBenedetto, maybe a guy that slips through the cracks. And here's one that he's going to be chalky, but I'm going to go with him anyway. In second practice, Chris Buescher was the fastest car out there. And, Chris has been, JTG Daugherty has been putting on a show here this year, and he's showing speed. He even came out and said that, Phoenix is not his best track, but they sure did a lot of hard work, and they brought him a fast piece. I like Chris Buescher. He's starting 22nd. The odds of him finishing higher than that, my lord, are insanely high. I like Chris Buescher a lot, and I honestly think he could even yank out a top 10. He's very quick this week. So look for him to do well, and I love that I've got 92.50 average salary remaining. That's amazing. That's right around Kurt Busch, Kyle Larson, that range. So now I'm just picking guys who I think will run well. So Kyle Larson is my guy to pass a lot of people. Kurt Busch is actually my dark horse to win. Do you even call him a dark horse? But he's my pick to win this race. Kurt Busch is repping the Global Poker Chevrolet. It looks pretty cool. It's pretty bland, but I like the matte black. So what? I'm going with that. Now to pick guys that I think are just going to finish well. Joey Logano is pretty quick in practice. Even if I went that route, I got $8,200 spent. Ryan Blaney brought a fast piece, but man, he's starting first. Don't know if I like that. Jimmy Johnson is one of the best at Phoenix, but hasn't won there since 2009. And Jimmy Johnson is not the same driver he was even 3 or 4 years ago. But Phoenix is a track where he can get a rhythm going. Daniel Suarez at $7,600. Man, I've still got $600 to spend there. Let's see what I go with here. One guy that really stuck out to me in practice was Eric Almirola. Eric Almirola was top. I believe there was one practice where he didn't do so well, but the last practice he was top 5 in speeds in practice. He was right there with Kyle Busch, Ryan Blaney, and all those guys. So I'm going to go Eric Almirola. I think a top 5 could happen. Almirola looks very fast this year. So I'm going with Eric Almirola there. Feel very confident with that pick. Now, here's the thing. When I first did this lineup, I saw that Clint Bowyer and Daniel Suarez were starting in great positions. But being that I'm going with Eric Almirola over Joey Logano, see, this kind of pains me. So here's the situation. You got Joey Logano. I either go Joey Logano, and I've got to go, in my opinion, go with Daniel Suarez, or I could go Eric Almirola at 9,600, have 8,900 to spend with. You're almost at Denny Hamlin, which he was a rocket this week. Eric Jones is very intriguing. He runs well here, but Clint Bowyer in the past 4 races, his average finish pretty good. I mean, he's like a top 10 average guy. I'm going to go with Clint Boyer. I'm going to pair him with a Stuart Haas teammate. And that just leaves some intriguing, play here. If I don't want Buescher, I mean, I can get Ryan Newman. I think William Byron will run well, and Hemrick probably will too. They're starting really good. Alex Bowman's starting way too high for me to pick. He's a sneaky guy, but not at 6th. I can't pick him. And Ryan Preece is honestly sneaky. But, so I'm probably going to go with Chris Buescher. I just think he's too automatic. He's too good there. If I didn't go DiBenedetto, I mean, I could go Preece, but I like DiBenedetto a little better, and I think DiBenedetto can finish pretty well. So here's my picks here. I'm going to go ahead and just wrap it up. Kyle Larson starting 31st. I predict a top 10. I mean, I can't see anything less. Larson's a guy that he leads a ton of laps. He'll get you a lot of points if he leads laps. Say if Harvick or any of these guys don't do that well, Larson could get up there pretty quick. It's a pretty wide track now with the tunnel turn. I was about to call it triangle, but that would have been dumb. With the tunnel turn there, where guys they can go way down on the track. He'll make up ground quick. And I like Eric Almirola. Gosh, that Joey Logano is very tempting, but I'm going to go with Almirola. I think Logano might get into a mess somehow. I don't know. He's won a race. He's going to be aggressive. And maybe too much. So Kurt Busch is going to be my 3rd pick, starting 16th. I see a top 10 out of Kurt Busch. I see all of these guys I'm picking are top 10 potential. Clint Boyer had some speed. Clint Boyer starting 26th. Gosh, he even gets 12th. That's 14 spots plus your 12th place finish, which is a pretty good day. Not to mention, I think Kurt Larson or Almirola could win this race. And then I'm going to go with my dark horse guys, and I'm going to go Buescher and DiBenedetto. I think Buescher could get a top 10, and DiBenedetto could run really well. He's got the Joe Gibbs power. And I've got $500 remaining on salary. So this is definitely a tournament strategy. So I think if you're in a cash game, you got to go Logano Suarez. If you're doing this kind of lineup, more than likely you're going with Harvick or one of those guys. But this is my lineup here, and again, the high starting spots: 31st, 14th, 16th, 26th, 22nd, and 25th. So that's going to do it for the TicketGuardian 500. Hope you all enjoyed that. Check out our website at www.thesportschief.com, or check us out on Twitter. Ask me some questions. See if I screwed your lineup up last week. Hopefully not. But I feel very confident about this one. I'll be in some single entries. Check out this video on YouTube, and hope y'all have a good night. Thanks. Have a good day.